Hi, everybody. I'm looking for, there's Micah. There we go. Other class went a little late. We're going to just wait a couple minutes, everyone, just because a lot of people were at the previous auction and class going on here in Stroudsburg. So Micah, we had a big thing going on. So I just want to
Awesome.
give a couple minutes. Move over closer to Joanne's
You're gonna
joining
move
me.
over a little bit.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. So let's just give it like just a couple minutes and then we'll start. Okay, Micah?
Sounds like a plan.
Great. And while we're waiting, for those of you who were not on the Zoom call with our sales meeting, Joanne is here. If you weren't on the call, she is my colleague and friend of over 40 years who works for Movement, and she's bilingual. So she's going to be helping me with Spanish speaking buyers. So we're hoping to expand your buyer's market with Spanish speaking buyers. Tell them about the Comunidad.
So at Movement Mortgage, we have a department called Comunidad. It's strictly focused on Spanish speaking buyers and helping them purchase a home or an investment. We have our processors, our Spanish speaking processors, our documentations are all in Spanish, and we are able to see what that community needs as far as programs or hand-holding in order for them to get into their home. So it helps open the community and your base and bringing in new buyers.
We're gonna be looking into so Joanne's not gonna be here all the time. She lives actually quite far, but she's gonna try to be here the once a month, right?
Yes.
And then also we're
Big
trying
events.
to do some events.
Yeah.
My salsa event in June, she'll be here. But if you have any Spanish speaking buyers, you can go straight to her. And she will help you through it. She's wonderful. She's been doing it for many years now. And a lot of them are bilingual, but they're just more comfortable in their native language. So if you need any help, guys, you can reach out to me. I can connect you to Joanne. But she won't be in the office very much, but she's going to be on Zoom calls. We're going to try to do some buyer seminars in Spanish here at the office. And we're just trying to help you guys build that community and get more buyers. So we got 14 on the call now. I don't know if we should wait a couple more minutes. I know a lot of people are in that room are going to get on the call. Let's just give it to 2:10, Micah.
Sure.
Okay. And then we'll start because it's been a busy day here.
I love it. Busy days are good as long as they're productive.
There's
It's
still
always
people coming
productive
from
in this office.
downstairs.
They do a lot here, but we had this really cool auction and raised money for local charity. So
Oh,
that went over a little bit.
that's awesome though.
Yeah.
What charity?
It's called the Olson. What is it, you guys? Olson something.
I don't remember.
So
I know it was
Olsen-
Olsen, but I can't remember the whole thing.
I can't remember the whole name.
Christmas Wish Foundation.
That's it, Robin, thanks. Started like, Robin, was started from a police officer who passed away, right? But then they continued it after all these years.
Yeah, so they started it to help his family to get his to set up like college education funds, and it just got bigger after that.
And how long has it been now, Robin?
I think they said 11 years.
Wow, yeah. So we did an auction and we raised money for that. So always love to do that for people. I see some new faces on here.
A couple of them are my team members.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Hoping to get, I sent an email out like 20 minutes ago. I was hoping to get some more people on here. Barry, Joshua. I haven't met you, Joshua. Have I met
He's on
you?
my team.
Oh, that's why.
Josh, you're welcome to say hi.
Hi, hello, good day.
How are you? How are you?
Very well, thank you.
All right, so we got some offices and then Elizabeth's on here, Janine. All right, we're just gonna start, and if people jump in, they jump in. It's being recorded as well, so some people who might be running around probably look for the recording, but I want to introduce you to Micah. Micah is the founder of her credit, what would you call it? Credit repair or just a credit specialist company? What would you call your?
Yeah, we're a credit restoration firm. Absolutely.
So she's the founder, and she was highly recommended to me by some of my teammates. And when I spoke to her, she was very energetic, and I really liked some of the things she said. So I thought, you know what? I know I'm dealing with a lot of buyers who are coming to me not knowing what to do. And of course, I'm not a specialist. So I've already sent some people over to her team, but I know there's questions you guys have. So just when she's speaking and stuff, just maybe put something in the chat or just unmute yourself. Because as we go through this, I'm sure there's going to be questions. I'll have some as well. So Micah, I don't know where you're starting, but thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of this. I really appreciate it. We'll send this recording also to all the offices as well. So, so I'm giving you the floor. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's good to see all of you here. I am going to be picking on quite a few of you, so be prepared. But my name is Micah Smith, and I'm the president and the founder of Micah Abigail, and we are a credit solutions firm. So all things credit, whether it's business credit, personal credit, we deal with it all. And so we believe that good credit is the foundation. It is the cornerstone to actually building any sort of real wealth. And you're going to hear some crazy statistics today as far as like how credit works and how it actually does impact you. And you're going to become not only a better consumer, but you're also going to have options and you're going to have solutions for your clients that are not up to par. So I like to teach people the way I like to learn. And so I have the attention span of a bird. So I assume you do too. So again, I'm going to be picking on a lot of you as we go through the class, and you'll remember a lot more and you'll get a lot more out of it. So I don't like when people talk at me for hours and hours and hours, because then I'm like, wait, I missed like 90% of it. So
We're all about interactive here, Micah.
good. It's
Nobody
gonna be
wants to sit and just listen. So the more interaction, the better.
I love it. We're gonna have fun. So just a little fun tidbit about us. We were actually just recently featured on Fox Business. It just gives our company a lot of credibility. It was such an honor to have been sought out by them. And they have an ongoing partnership with us where they want to continue to highlight us and have us continue to talk about stories. It's such a big topic, and it's not spoken nearly enough about. And I know myself personally, 15 years ago, I know I struggled so much with my own personal credit score, and I did not know how to get past a certain point. And I just felt so frustrated because I was overpaying for everything and I knew it, but I felt so stuck. And we don't ever want your borrowers to feel that way. And we don't want you to feel that way if you are in that position. So the first thing that I want to go over is I want to go over to pay or not to pay. And this is around collections. Okay. This is not normal bills, right? Obviously you want to pay your credit cards and your mortgages, your car loans on time. But my question is going to be around collections. So I'm going to pick on Casey Reese. I can see your beautiful face. So I'm going to pick on you. You're the first person in my eye line. Good afternoon. So my question for you, Casey, is let's say your best friend comes to you and they're like, you know, I would really like to get a better credit score. I have a couple of items that are lingering on my credit report and I've got the funds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay off these negative items because I want to fix my credit. Is that the right approach or is that the wrong approach?
Negative items, I'm not sure what that means, but
A
I've
collection.
heard,
So say like you have, let's just say somehow, some way, let's say Verizon, right? Let's say a $200 Verizon bill shows up on the credit report and they're saying it's a negative item and that it has gone delinquent. And they're saying you were supposed to pay this, but you didn't. So now we're putting it onto your credit report as a collection. So
okay.
your best friend is like, well, I've got the money. So what should I do?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm taking this class for sure, but I would say yes, you should pay that off.
Yeah. Common sense logic, right? I mean, that makes sense, right? Robin, what do you think? Do you agree with Casey?
I'm
Robin,
sorry.
you there?
I was in a panic. I lost my keys. I'm trying to find my keys to listen to
no.
class.
Oh no, so you probably didn't hear the question. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give everyone the answer.
I'm
So-
actually gonna wait. I'm gonna make a comment as a lender.
Okay.
I literally just have this situation now where I had this person, supposedly, she did not know she had these collections. They've been there for many years, and she was asking me, and I'm like, listen, you know, this is my answer. I was like, I'm not a credit specialist. I would think, but I know, well, I don't think that just because you pay them, that it goes off your credit report. And it takes a while to come and improve your credit. But I've always wondered if they pay that, because we, FHA, we can get approved with FHA collections and even charge offs. But like they were like, I always get the question, I'm sure you do too.
Mhm.
If we pay them off, will that make my credit score go? And how long will it take? And I was told that some things stay on for 7 to 10 years. So I am very anxious to hear of your question, your answer to this one, because as a lender, we need to know.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So what we say in our classes, so Casey, I love that you used common sense logic, because I'm going to tell you 99% of the clients that we encounter use logic when they're answering questions to credit. But here's what I'm going to tell everyone on the call. Take your common sense and throw it out the window because it doesn't apply, right? So it's like common sense says, okay, so I addressed this negative item. So the thought process is okay, it's going to go away and my score is going to shoot up, right? But the problem is credit does not work like that. So when you have negative items and you have collections, right, what happens is so the older something gets, the less it impacts your score. So from the day that it hits your credit report, it's there for 7 years. If you, let's say, have the Verizon collection, Casey, let's say it's 5 years old. Let's say your best friend pays the Verizon collection that's 5 years old. There's a little acronym on every credit report that we look at, and it's DLA. DLA stands for date of last activity. So what happens is when you pay off the negative item, you take that DLA and you update it to today. And then what happens is the score will go backwards 60, 70, 80, 90 points, because the algorithms that calculate your credit score, they pick up the negative item as brand new. The algorithms calculating your scores they're not built to see size. So one of the principles I teach is there's no bias towards wealth, which means a $0 collection has the same weight as a $10,000 collection. They don't care about the size when it comes to damage done on the credit report, right? They care about the activity. So that's why a $0 satisfied collection is going to drop your score 60, 70, 80 points, and it's going to do more damage, right, than an old collection, say that's $10,000, right? So
That's shocking to me.
What's
That's
that?
shocking that a $500 is no different than 10,000. It's all I can't believe that.
It's weird, right? It's so
Wow.
weird. It's
Yeah.
so weird. I know. So like the no bias towards wealth, that always throws people for a loop. And when we start talking about positive credit too, I'll tell you some really cool statistics as well that will be really mind-blowing, because people have no idea how this stuff works. And really it's overcomplicated because there's all of these companies out there that are just trying to market and trying to get us to become worse consumers. And it's actually it's a little simpler than what is being spoken about out there. So first things first, we generally speaking don't want you to touch negative items unless we tell you to. Everything we do at our company is customized. So every once in a while, there might be a scenario where we have you pay it, or maybe your lender says, hey, to get through underwriting, you're going to have to pay this. If your lender says you have to pay it, you have to pay it, right? Doesn't mean your credit score is going to go up, right? You're still going to have to repair it. But right, so just know from a credit standpoint, it's not generally prudent to touch collections, because it generally will take you backwards most of the time. Now, what I wanted to go over with everyone, which is super important, is I wanted to talk to you all about medical debt, because there were so many changes that took place, and they took place right after COVID. So I'm going to pick on Millicent Winter. Can you hear me? I'm going to pick on Elizabeth Gonzalez next.
All right, people, come on. Elizabeth, you there?
I can hear you. Yes, I can.
So, and I don't know who's speaking. Let me see if I can see who's speaking now.
I think it's Elizabeth.
Let's
There
see.
she is.
Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Okay, so my question for you is, so there's been so much talk about medical. What are your thoughts around medical debt collections? Do they impact your mortgage score? Like, what's your just general thought?
You actually broke up. I didn't quite hear what you said. I think it's just sort of
So
impacting
do you have any thoughts around medical collections and medical debt?
I do not.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give everyone the answer. So when it comes to medical, right? So I just discussed, right, not touching collections. Medical debt is the only collection, and this changed after COVID. So the new laws that went into place were if you have a medical collection on the credit report and you pay it, it must be removed by law within 30 days. That's number one. The second thing is that anything less than $500 will not report anymore. And the third thing, so if you have medical collections on your credit report, it used to be a mortgage lender would actually disqualify you if it was a certain size. They will not disqualify you anymore. You will still be able to get a home, say you've got a $5,000 medical collection on the credit report. Your scores will still be damaged, right? But they're not going to disqualify you. So they're still showing up on credit reports, but only if they're over $500. So medical collections, if you know it's yours, if you know that the balance is correct, go ahead and satisfy it. By law, it must come off in 30 days, right? But most of the time, I will tell you with medical, it gets very dicey because most of the time, they are not reported correctly. Most of the time, they have the wrong balances. They've coded them.
A lot of the
It's a
time.
mess. It's a disaster. I went through it personally. Disaster. I ended up getting I got the state attorney general involved, and needless to say, I got everything I needed and more, but I had to fight tooth and nail because these companies were incorrectly coding procedures and trying to
Yes.
collect buku dollars from me when there was actually no work actually done by the
It's
doctor.
happening a lot, Micah. I mean,
A
it's happening
lot.
personally. And what bothers me is years ago, they never did this because,
No.
you know, it's people who are suffering from cancer and
Yep.
car accidents that are not their fault, and they can't afford to pay 50,000 to 100,000. And
Yep.
I don't understand why, and then maybe you can answer, why are medical bills now going on when they never did it before years ago?
Oh, they've always
was
been
my
on
understanding
credit
too,
reports.
actually.
Yeah, no, they've always been on
I
credit
thought
reports.
medical bills weren't on your credit report. I always thought that was like the one thing that they didn't have, you know, all your credit cards and stuff, but medical bills were completely
No,
separate.
they do now, Janine. They definitely do now.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that changed yet.
Yeah,
It
they've
changed.
always, since I've been in the business, so I've been in the credit space for 12 years. So for the last 12 years, they've been on credit reports, any sort of medical debts, collections. One of the biggest things that we used to clean off of credit reports, it was either satisfied medical collections, or the biggest thing we would say, which was insane, is we would see people's credit scores tanking for $5, $10, $15
Yeah.
copays. It was bad. It was really bad. But
Ridiculous.
yeah, they definitely put medical. The only thing that they're not reporting on credit reports is, so what the laws updated, so there's no longer going to be judgments or tax liens on credit reports. That's going to be just public record. So those are the two things that got removed. But medical has been there since I've been in the business for the last 12 years. There
Another
was
thing,
very,
Micah, because I had this happen to me, I didn't even know I had a delinquent bill. Like, they
Most
didn't
people
send me
don't.
any bills. I've had the same address forever. And
Yeah,
then we get this bill, it's going to collections. I go, I didn't even know I had this bill. And because I pay my bills, and if I can, I'm doing a payment plan, right? But
sure.
these collection, and then they're switching to another collection. And some of these people who have truly wanted to pay off their medical collections can't even find where to pay it. And it's
Sure.
frustrating for them. And I feel bad because they want to fix it, but the credit bureaus just make it so that's where you would come in, right?
That's where we come in, and we fight all day on behalf of the consumer to try to
Okay.
get this stuff removed. And so to give everyone an idea of just how credit repair works, we'll use the example of a medical collection because it is still the number one thing that we go after in regards to negative items. So if you have a medical collection on the credit report, right, we're going to TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, and we're saying, okay, give us the name of the doctor, the anesthesiologist, what time did the patient enter the hospital, what time do they leave, what did insurance cover, what do they not cover, why? And so the bureaus don't have to have that information on file, right? But what happens is they send that off to ABC collection agency, and the collection agency, right, if they respond with the name of your doctor or your anesthesiologist or what time you got to the hospital, what have they now just violated?
Privacy?
HIPAA, yeah, 100%. So, and the whole process, so the FCRA, which is one of the many, many laws that we use, right, to get negative items off of the credit report, right? So the FCRA is very clear. Everything on the credit report must be 100% accurate, complete, and verifiable. So when they don't release all of this information to validate and to verify the debt, the bureaus legally have to remove it from the credit report, or they can respond with the information and then they'll get sued. And trust me, we have seen people respond with this information and they get sued and they lose. They can't release that information. You never signed any sort of disclaimer saying, or any sort of paperwork saying that I'm okay with a third party having access to my personal medical information, right? So if they do disclose that and the doctor gave that information to them, they're in big trouble. So it's a really crazy thing when people are like, wait, that's how credit repair works? I'm like, that's how credit repair works. So people call it loopholes, call it whatever you want. We just call it the law. Like the laws are in place and we just uphold them to the very, very most umpteenth degree. So it's pretty
Wow.
amazing what has the potential to come off of a credit report. It's pretty cool.
That's
So,
really interesting.
isn't it?
I've learned
Yeah,
more in the
that's-
last
yeah.
10 minutes than I've learned in 10 years.
Like you
Holy
wouldn't,
crap.
like I would have never thought like them giving out that information. And now when you say it, it's against HIPAA laws because you can't discuss that with other people.
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy, right? And like the way, if you knew like 90% of the stuff and how we get things removed from the credit report, like it would blow your mind, right? To you, like you see a negative item, to us, we see like the thousands of inaccuracies and errors. And that's the problem with credit reporting and the credit system is that the errors on your credit reports, maybe you did make a mistake. Maybe you did have a late payment. Maybe at one point, maybe the collection was on the credit report. But I'm going to tell you, most of the time, the way it's reported is not correct. And it's actually causing you more damage than what it's actually supposed to be. And that goes against the law. And so that's why we're in place, is to help people rectify these things and try to get them removed. So everything negative, regardless of what it is, it's not about did you do it? It's can they prove it and is it reported accurately? And most things, given enough time, are eventually going to come off of the credit report, just as an FYI, most things.
So I have a question, Micah, because
Yeah.
you know I deal with a lot of people with credit issues. I
Sure.
had a gentleman that had to pay off something. He was told he had a letter stating that the balance was paid in full. They still reported it late.
Mhm.
He went so far as, because it was an attorney collection, you know, he
Mhm.
went so far as to go to the attorney's office, knocking on the door to show them that he had this. They would not open the door for him. They would not. It was the most bizarre. He was freaking out, and we got it resolved because I had to get an exception because we had the letter and they reported it, you know, unlawfully, basically, and then they wouldn't even help him fix it. But I see this a lot, and I also see it with student loans since the COVID, the forbearance with the you know, they said it was forbearance for mortgage payments. They put it on their credit. They missed mortgage payments when they didn't. They were supposed to be in forbearance, and the student loans out of control. Either they consolidated and they are now all late because they consolidated and they report them late. I see this a lot. Or again, they said that they didn't have to make payments through COVID, but they reported them late anyway. This is what I'm seeing, and it's just ridiculous, and it's destroying people's credit.
Yeah. Yeah. The student loans have become, so there was I put out a big article about the student loans, because they were not due for such an extended period of time. And then they became due under the new administration.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, so the actual number is over 4 million people. It dropped the entire national average because so many people missed their student loan payments that were due. Over 4 million people. It's crazy. I mean, our phones have been ringing off of the hook. I mean, my team has been so overwhelmed with people calling about this issue. And they're like, but I didn't get a bill. I didn't get anything in the mail. I didn't get a phone call. And the student loan company is like, too bad, so sad. Like, you're the one who signed the loan agreement. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Your student loans were due. You have to make the payment. Like, we're not in control of the information that you leave on file with us. So
What about when, I'm sorry to interrupt because I was curious. What about those times where they were supposed to be in forbearance because of COVID? They marked them late. How long would it take you if I sent my customer to you who swears that these, you know, we're all supposed to be in forbearance? Like, how long of a time frame Because if they're looking actively, they can't get approved because of it. Does it take 30 days, 60 days for you guys to fight that for them? What's your
Yeah,
turnaround
every
time?
situation is different,
Right.
right? So we legally can't ever give a definitive time frame as far as like how long something is going to take, because we're at the mercy of the credit bureaus as well as the creditors, right?
Right.
So we plead our case, we state our case, we send our, so we have limited power of attorney for our clients. Some of them we do full power of attorney, but essentially what we do is, right, we go to the bureaus, we plead the case, we show. So if the client has proof, right, that they were definitively in forbearance, and we take that proof to the student loan agency, they're going to rectify it, generally speaking, pretty quickly. If they don't, if they're completely obstinate, right, we can get attorneys involved and we can shake up their world pretty aggressively. But at the end of the day, it's really, a lot of times people have a misconception like, oh, this was in forbearance, but in actuality, they actually missed it by a couple of months, right? They might have their dates off. So at the end of the day, again, just remember, everything negative has the potential to be removed. One round of investigations is going to take approximately anywhere between 30 to 45 days, just one round. Most people need 6 to 12 rounds in our company. Comparatively speaking to a lot of other firms, they're closer to a 3.5-year turnaround. We're very, very, very aggressive. 6 to 12 months is nothing in our world, and I mean nothing. So it just, again, it depends. It depends on how the bureaus and the creditors respond. Because if they come back, right, and they're like, no, you were late, here's why, here's the proof, here's your statement, here's when you paid, right? You have a serious case on your hands, which means there's going to be a lot of rebuttal and back and forth. So we're going to be looking at other things on the credit report to go after. So there is no definitive time frame that we're legally even allowed to give. We can just tell you, hey, one round takes this long, but we're super aggressive. So there's that. But we do update our clients and you every 30 days. So but what I want to go over with everyone next, I'm going to ask Janine, actually. So Janine, I want to ask you a question. I assume that you know who Credit Karma is.
I do.
Okay. So when you have a client that has a credit, and Maria is going to love me for going over this.
I hate Credit Karma.
I figured Credit Karma for lenders is probably like Zillow for realtors.
It's
Yes.
the worst. It's
Yes.
the worst. I tell people,
Exactly
don't even
it.
tell me your Credit Karma scores, because it's not going to be what I get.
It's exactly it. So how do you explain it though, right? So you're talking with a client or a potential client, and they're like, Janine, I've got an amazing credit score. I looked at Credit Karma. I'm at a 740. Let's go see some homes. You're like, I would love to show you some homes. First, let me get you a pre-approval. I'm going to get you over to my lender, Maria. She's going to pull your credit for you. And then Maria comes back and she's like 80 points lower. How do you explain that to your client? Because she's like, who did you send me to? This Korea lady dropped my credit like 80 points. What is up?
I say, let Maria explain it to you.
Okay.
Say that, Janine.
I love it. I love it. So Maria, let me ask you then, how do you explain it to people, generally speaking?
So I always, because in my experience, it's never accurate. I actually tell them that, unfortunately, in my experience over the years, Credit Karma is not accurate. The credit bureaus, there's a reason all 3 scores are different, because they report at different times. And I never give them factual information, but I just tell them that every time I have run credit after someone told me their Credit Karma, every single time, it is drastically different. I said, so whatever you're going to tell me, unfortunately, is not going to matter. What I pull is what I get, and that's what any other lender will get, because we're doing a mortgage pull.
Yeah.
I want to hear the answer to this question, because I just had the same thing happen 2 days ago. This guy's like, I'm 800. He was 770, which is great, but he was like, you dropped my scores. I go, no, I didn't. And then he looked, he saw that it only dropped like 10 points, but then he saw, and I sent him his report, and I said, listen, Credit Karma. So I want to know why Credit Karma is so off.
So this is what I say also. I tell them Credit Karma uses a different model that's more pertaining to credit cards and maybe personals. We use our own model, and I think I forgot the number, and that's specifically made for mortgages. So there's a difference.
Oh, that's a good one.
But I want to know, that's what I heard and learned, but
You teach
You gotta
us.
tell us
You
what we're
teach
supposed to
us.
say.
Absolutely. So yes, so I really like to simplify it, especially for your clients, because we want it to be so simplified that they're like, oh, that makes sense. So we just say it's a different algorithm. That's it. So if everyone can get the word algorithm into your vernacular, I'm telling you that word has magical powers when you're speaking to clients. Like people are like, when I drop the word algorithm, I'm telling you with the GP, the general public, they're like, oh my God, you really know your stuff. And I'm like, really? Algorithm was the word that did it for you? I'm like, okay. Algorithm has magical powers, right? So Credit Karma uses it's Vantage. So just to give you some specifics. So they use Vantage 3.0. And then the mortgage industry uses their own set of algorithms. So it's Beacon 5.0, Fair Isaac version 2, Classic 04 right now. And there are new algorithms being adopted actually as we speak. So essentially it's a different algorithm. So people are like, well, it's FICO versus Vantage. I'm like, not anymore. There are companies that actually lenders use a variation of Vantage now, which is owned by the credit bureaus. So essentially, you just want to keep it simple. It's a different algorithm. So every industry is going to use a different mathematical equation to calculate your risk. So you're going to have a different score with your car guy or gal, right? So you go to the auto dealership, you'll have a different score there. You go to the mortgage companies, you're going to have a different score there. You go to your credit card company, you're going to have a different score there. And Credit Karma, so it's what we call a consumer scoring model, right? It's a soft pull. They're not trying to give you anything. It's, again, it's Vantage. So they're weighting things very differently, right? Because they're not trying to approve you for a loan. Versus when you go to a mortgage lender, they're actually trying to approve you for a loan. So in the mortgage industry, you'll generally, if you have negative items, you're going to appear the lowest because they're going to be scrutinizing you the hardest, right? So the whole purpose of credit, and this is what we talk about. So the whole purpose of credit, that's one thing that I'm very curious to hear what people think. Barry, I did see you I saw your beautiful face earlier. Is it Barry? Is that how we say your name? Or is it Bari? Bari or Barry?
Oh no, yeah, you said it right. It's Barry.
Barry. Barry, what do you think the purpose of credit is? Like, what is the purpose of credit?
To check your worthiness of of being able to pay back a loan, basically. Like how
Yes, that's
yeah,
literally it.
worthiness,
That's
yeah.
exactly it. Yes, they're trying to determine your likelihood of default. So I get to look at these really boring charts, but I love them. Like I look at, so the more likely you are to default on something, right? The riskier you look on paper, the more expensive everything is going to be. So whether it's a home, whether it's insurance, whether it's cars, everything is attached to the credit score. It's nuts. Like people think that their driving record is what drives their insurance through the roof. It's not, it's their credit score. And people have no idea. So it's literally impacting everything we do. So on average, do expect Credit Karma to be about, just so you know, the average, it's about 40 to 60 points higher compared to mortgage companies. The other thing too, since we're on the topic, right? So like when you go to a lender, and you have them pull your credit, right? People freak out. They're like, oh my God, the hard pull is going to destroy my score. And Barry, I see you shaking your head. Yes. So Barry, when you have your clients, when they're going and they're getting their credit pulled, right? How many points do you think your score drops when a hard pull is done?
I'm gonna say I don't think it's that bad. I think it's about 5. It
You're
depends.
100% right. It's 2 to 5.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
so minimal. People think it's like 30, 40. Like a lot of my classes, like people like 30, 40, 50, 60. And I'm like, no, it's 2 to 5 points. It's so minimal. So, and the good news is too, so that inquiry, right, while it might appear, your score is not going to drop automatically. The drop doesn't happen until 30 days later, right? So the inquiry might show up, but it's not an instant drop, right? It doesn't show up again until 30. So whatever the lender is pulling is your credit, right? Like your real-time credit right here, right now, right? So make sure that clients understand, like, listen, it's like they're just pulling your real score right here, right now. Like the inquiry is going to show up later. But on top of that, what's really cool about the mortgage industry is your clients have what's called a shopping window.
Yep.
Okay, so a shopping window means what? What is a shopping window?
I know.
I know you know, Maria.
All right, let's see if anybody else knows, because I taught all my agents this. Anybody else know?
What, like 30 days, 45 days?
Oh, I love it. Yes.
What's the rule? What can you do in those time frame, Barry?
Don't add new credit, right?
I like
Or-
the thought. I like the thought. I like the thought. So the shopping window is amazing. And what it does is it allows you to go from lender to lender to lender to lender, and it only impacts you one time. So in the mortgage industry, the older algorithms, you're protected for a full 45 days. The newer algorithms are 14. So if you want to play it super safe because you're not sure which algorithms they're using, go with 2 weeks. If you're on the more risque side, go ahead and go with the 45, right? But 14 days, generally speaking, right? So you can go from, so like, let's say you go to Bank of America and you're like, nope, don't like them. Then you go to Chase, you're like, nope, don't like them. Then you go to TD Bank, you're like, nope, don't like them. Then you go to Cross Country, you're like, nope, don't like them. Then you find Maria, you're like, yep, I like her. Your score only drops one time. So you can go for, and each lender will want to pull your credit, and that's okay, right? Because
Okay, I have a question with this, Micah. This is huge because I always told people they can do 3 lenders within 45 days, and you're telling me more now. And I also tell them if they're really shopping, the better they do it like in 1 week, meaning the quicker they do it, boom, 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 instead of waiting weeks in between. But you just mentioned that you can actually do
Unlimited.
it more?
Unlimited.
Are you serious?
Huh? And you can verify this at the CFPB website, the
I
Consumer
trust
Financial
you.
Protection.
Wow, did you know that?
I knew it, but I thought it was 45 days, but I just learned that it could be as little as 14 days.
And it really just depends on the algorithms because they are introducing new algorithms to the mortgage industry. And one of the algorithms is Vantage. So depending on the algorithm that you are using and
Well,
adopting.
they won't know. So it's a risk that they take after 14 days if they use that algorithm that is only for 14.
So the lender is the one really who can say, hey, we use the older ones, you've got 45 days. So, I mean, and in fact, so I know that a couple of the companies that have adopted the newer ones, but yeah, as a rule of thumb, I mean, generally speaking, most lenders, it's 45 days, but you're going to find there's going to be a handful, just a handful that it's going to be 14. But again, you can verify this at the CFPB website, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau website. In addition to that, the other industry that you are protected in is the car industry. So people are like, oh my God, I went shopping for a car and my credit is shot. I'm like, what's that? That's just your credit. I'm like, it's not shot. Like your score didn't drop 100 points because you went shopping. You're protected. It's called the dedupe law. So you also have the ability, so it's written into the algorithms. It's written into the system. They're going to recognize when you're shopping for installment loans. So the only 2 industries that you have protection, you have the car industry and you have the mortgage industry. I've never seen someone's score tank because of either. I've never seen the algorithms mess this up, right? It's pretty automated, which is great. So they want to encourage you to find the right lender because this is expensive stuff. These things you're locked in for a long period of time, and they want to make sure that you are shopping around, you're finding a good rate, you're finding a good lender, someone that makes you comfortable. It's really important. You should shop.
Like me and Joanne.
Yes.
Yes. Until you find someone like Maria and Joanne, keep shopping.
I do love the word algorithm. That is huge.
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
Because
so
the
good.
one guy last week said, I just bought a car and my scores were higher. And now I can tell him, well, they use a different algorithm. I mean,
Yes. And on top of that,
powerful.
powerful.
if he just purchased a car, he's going to have a temporary hit. So the scores are going to go backwards for about 4 months. So
That's good to know.
So if you're looking at this pie chart here, so when we talk about credit, so right, you tell them, please don't go buy a new car, please don't go, purchase anything major. Well, we want them to also not do that either because it's also going to drive the scores backwards. Because when you're already established, what happens is say you open up a mortgage, say you open up a car, you are going to go backwards. So on this little pie chart, you see 10% of your credit, it says types of credit. So I'm sorry, new credit. So this is the only portion of the pie chart where you get all the points up front for literally walking, breathing, and being alive. So when you get approved for new credit, they take a chunk of points away temporarily, and it's for about 4 months. So
Wow.
you don't fully recover though for actually a couple of years because there's a lot of other things that new credit will do. So it's ideal for someone to not shop until right, after they've gotten a mortgage, because we want those scores to be as high as possible when they're getting a mortgage, but it will take them backwards roughly about 42 points based on the national average for about 4 months. So, but as they pay it on time, they'll get a chunk of points back.
Well, we do tell them to not do that, but unfortunately, people like to buy a car right before they're about to close on a home.
All the
We've had that.
time.
We've
Yep.
had that situation. But I did want to reiterate, you said that when someone gets their score pulled, like for a car, or no, for a mortgage, like, because the one guy literally said to me, he's like, oh, my scores just dropped like 5 or 10 or whatever he said. That's not true. So the score really didn't drop. It's dropped to him because he thought he had accurate scores or Credit Karma. You're saying as a mortgage, they don't drop when we pull it?
No, it's not until 30 days later.
Yeah, Joe, we got
Yeah.
more ammunition.
Yes.
You're going to be like,
This is
so I just
educational
learned
for us
something.
too,
Yeah.
because this is not our specialty. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
And this is why it's so good to have us in your back pocket, because we can back you up and we can make sure that people don't think you're the bad guy. I mean, someone who's trying to help you get a loan, it's like, come on, like, why would they be doing something to hurt you? You know what I mean? Like, so we're here to back you up and make sure that
You do a
you're
perfect
not the bad
impression
guy.
of, oh my God, my credit. Like, I can't even tell you how many people are like freaking out. I'm like, do you want a mortgage? You can't get a pre-approval without me pulling your credit. And this soft pull crap has got to go. It gives us one score, you guys. These are what lenders are doing. Oh, we'll only do a soft pull. I just saw a meme on Instagram where it was the soft pull score and then the hard pull score. It was like 20, 30 point difference. I don't do soft pulls. And I'll tell you why, you guys. It gives me one score. In the mortgage industry, we need 3 and we go by the middle. Those scores vary sometimes from 20 to 30 to 40 points. So if someone comes to me and says they want a soft pull, I'm like, listen, it's not benefiting you to do that. I don't care what the other lender told you. We're not going to get all 3 scores, which means I could possibly pre-approve you incorrectly. So that's my thing, Micah, that I tell people, correct? The soft pull only gives you 1. The 3 is what I need. I need the middle score.
Yeah, it depends on how your company does it. So every company is a little bit different, but the one thing I will tell you is, so if you're doing a soft pull and you're doing it through your organization and it's a mortgage soft pull and you're doing 1 score, it's going to be 100% accurate as far as that 1 score.
Right, the 1 score.
Yeah, but obviously there's a high, a mid, and a low.
Right, we need the mid. We need the mid.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of mortgage companies, like we work obviously countrywide. So we do have a lot of mortgage companies that do a tri-merge soft pull. And, people ask, they say, is this accurate? And yes, it is accurate. The soft pull is accurate. So you're going to find there's no difference. Just one hurts you and one doesn't. But I mean, it doesn't make any sense because you can't give someone a real approval without doing a hard pull,
Correct.
So
that's what I tell people.
Do the hard.
Yeah. If they want accuracy, then they need to let me do the hard pull.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah, I think it makes more sense.
And it's not going to take their points down instantly. So that's my new ammunition for people.
Yes, exactly. You got 30 days.
Opt them out before we do the
pull. Exactly.
So what I want to go over really quickly is I just want to go over some big statistics because I want to go over some of the biggest pet peeves that I personally have just as a credit specialist and someone who really fights for people to build real wealth. And so a lot of our wealth building and the impact of not being able to do it comes from mismanaging credit because we've never been taught this stuff. So 35% of your credit score comes from payment history. I want you to remember this, okay? Because I'm going to give some statistics later that are going to be like, whew, right? But just remember, anytime you do anything good or anything bad, it's going to show up here. So 35% of the credit score. Now, what I want to jump into is 30% of the credit score. It comes from something that we use every single day. And I'm going to pick on Dominic. Dominic, if you can hear me, I'd love for you to.
I'm here.
Where is he?
Hi, Dominic.
There he is.
So let me ask you a question, Dominic. What do you speculate 30% of your credit score comes from? It's something we use every single day. I'm going to give you a hint. We swipe it, we tap it.
Debit card.
Okay, close.
Credit card.
Yes, exactly. Credit card. Exactly. So 30% of our credit scores are coming from revolving trade lines. So revolving trade lines are store cards, credit cards, and lines of credit. They're the three most important, most impactful components to your credit score. You have to have them. Debit cards, Dominic, unfortunately don't report to your credit report, right? So you have to have a credit card of some kind, whether it's secured, unsecured, you have to have credit cards. So in the beginning of the presentation, right, we talked about there is no bias towards wealth and the algorithms. Same thing applies to positive credit, right? Which means a $500 credit card weighs the same amount as a $10,000 credit card, right? So if you've got two credit cards and they're both maxed out, a 500 and a 10,000, which one hurts you more, Casey?
You said it doesn't matter. It's not weighted. So there's still 30% of your, okay. Trick question.
It was a trick question. Yes, exactly. They're equal, right? They're 100% equal. Very good. Yes. So if you have two credit cards, a 500 and a 10,000, and they're both maxed out, they're doing equal amounts of damage. So what we would address our clients to do is start with the small one first, and then work your way up towards the big one. So in that 30% section, right, they both weigh 15%. Right. So you start with the small card first, and then you move to the big one. So I actually did a little post today. One of the things that really discourages me is Credit Karma, Experian. They always are soliciting and they're marketing consumers, and they're saying, if you open up another credit card, it's going to add to your overall limit and your overall ability, right? So they make it appear as though if you have a larger limit on multiple credit cards that your score is going to go up, and that's not how it works. If you open new credit cards and you're already established, you're going to go backwards, and each credit card weighs the same when it comes to, right, the size of the credit card. So having more to spend is not going to help you by adding an additional credit card. So let me ask you this. So how do we get points out of our credit cards besides paying them on time, right? How do we ensure that we get the most amount of points possible out of our credit cards every single month? Millicent.
Paying more than the minimum due?
Yeah. And how much more?
I don't know.
Okay. So that's a really good start, right? So we're looking for percentage owed, right? So you see amounts owed on my pie chart. So it kind of gave it away just a little bit. So it comes down to percentage used on each individual credit card. So on each individual credit card, where do you think the credit card should be at? How much should be reflected as spent to the bureaus every single month in order to maximize your credit scores?
Aren't they supposed to be at like 5%?
I thought it was less than
6% or less is the magic number. You are 100% correct. It's 6% or less is going to be the magic number to get yourself into really, really high tiers. So people who have, right, the 760, 780, 800 credit scores, you're going to find that their credit card utilization is very, very low. If you want to start climbing into higher tiers, you have to make sure you're managing your positive credit as well. So we help people clean up the negative, but they have to focus on the positive. So people in our program will get very discouraged because we will be removing things from their credit report, right? Negative will start falling off, but they're like, my score isn't moving. We're like, that's because your credit cards are maxed out over the limit, right? Your score is going to plateau really at about a 600. Say you've got everything negative removed and your scores are, and your credit cards are maxed out, your score will plateau at like a 600 if you're lucky, right? So it's really important that we keep every credit card as low as we possibly can get it. Dominic, yes, you had a question.
Is it true that if you pay twice within the time frame of your payment due, that your credit goes up, or it's supposed to help your credit go up a little bit?
I love this question. Okay. So that brings me to this slide here.
Micah, hold on. I just want to say something because sometimes we get timed out at 1 hour. If we get timed out, I just spoke to Linda at the front desk, you guys. If we get timed out, she'll reboot it and then just get right back onto the same link because I don't want to miss this information. But I got cut off once, so I'm paranoid. So just in case, if we get timed out, guys, give it a minute and get right back onto the link and they'll reinstate it. Just wanted to let that know before it happens.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So this brings me to the reporting date versus the due date. So there is a lot of misinformation out there, unfortunately, on TikTok, on Instagram, and all those things. People are just trying to like make a sale and they just want views. So it's actually not true. There is no tricking the algorithms. You don't get extra credit for making double payments. What it is that by the time the credit card reports, the balance is lower, so the score appears higher. That's all that it is. So the way to make it work in your favor and in your benefit is you want to know what your statement closing date is. That's all you need to know. So if you're looking at, so I have two samples here. So on the first sample, you can see this is a Chase credit card. The other one is a Capital One. So what we're seeing on the Chase, so you can see verbiage. It says statement balance as of April 4th, and you see 755.67. That means April 4th is the reporting date, okay? Because that's the date that the statement closes out, right? So 755.67 was reported to the credit bureaus. So it's not going to report again until the following month on the 4th, right? So whatever balance you have on the statement closing date, that's the balance reported to the credit bureaus. And that's why scores are doing this every single month, because most people, they're paying it by the due date, which is great, but they're not paying it by the statement balance as of or the closing date. So you can see the difference, right, in the dates. So the minimum payment, right, is due on April 26th. So this was technically due, right, March 26th. Think about the damage that you can do between March 26th until April 4th, right? You can do a lot of damage. So a lot of people, they will be disputing their credit reports and positive trade lines. We're like, why are you disputing this? And they're like, oh, because it's reporting the wrong balance. And we're like, oh. And so we understand that they don't understand the difference between reporting date and due date. So as long as you get it down by this day, you are golden. And this is something we help all of our customers with when they're going through our program, because we have access to this on every single credit report that we pull. Our reports have this information on them. So we actually give our clients the schedule as far as when their credit cards report to the bureaus every single month. So great question. I love that you asked that.
I have a very important question, because I hear this a lot. Because of course, you know, social media, they're always doing things too. And this is very interesting to me, the statement date. You know how like you look at your credit card and then it says statement date balance, but then it says current balance? So are you saying that if I pay the statement date balance, not the current balance, but that will be better for me instead of waiting until it's due? Because I did hear a rumor that if you paid it before the due date or something, it does help your credit. Am I understanding that we want to pay the statement balance? Am I doing this wrong?
It's okay. No. So you just want to pay the balance, and you want to get the balance as low as possible so that it reports statement balance as low as possible.
Okay, so
Whatever
by the statement
balance says, whatever it says, that was already reported. That's done. You can't
Okay.
change that.
Right.
So whatever
So
your
I'm looking at
balance
that fourth balance and trying to get that balance down as much as possible,
is.
right?
Yep.
Which
Yep.
is weeks before the due date.
Or sometimes it's like a week after as well.
So is that how they mess with you and get the interest rate and get your fees and everything? Because people think you're supposed to be paying by the minimal due date, but you really should be paying by the statement date.
Well, it does impact your interest, yes, and it does impact, you know, it impacts a lot, right? If your credit score appears lower, then they're going to definitely charge you a higher interest rate. Yeah, I mean, this is a big thing that people need to know for sure.
Interesting.
For sure.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
It's crazy. I don't know about you guys, but I'm learning a lot. This is great for my buyers, you guys. And I know you guys don't talk to your buyers a lot, but this is a perfect person to refer to. You know, I could give, you know, text me or whatever. I can give you Micah's number. She's super responsive, texting, email, her team. If you guys have anybody, and of course I will refer her if I have any buyers that need it. But I hear a lot of buyers coming to me, Micah, saying, I've been paying this credit repair company for a year and nothing's happened. I hear that constantly. And I tell them I do not refer companies unless I totally trust them. I had one company and they went under different ownership, and now you're the only person I use. I don't like, it's a big deal to refer someone. It's
Your
It's a
reputation.
reflection on me. Oh, here we go. Millicent says, does Micah have a QR code to share to my clients?
Yeah, sure. Hold on, let me
In the
get to it.
chat.
Yeah, let's go
Good question, Millicent.
let's go to the end of the presentation. So if you want to, so here's our QR code for our website. So if you go to our website here, so you can actually do a couple of things here. So you can send this to your clients and they can certainly go to the website and they can go to sign up now. And then what they'll do is they can request a free consultation. Now you as a partner, you want to go to the contact us section. And what you want to do is you want to tap on affiliate and type your information in there, because all of our affiliates, they have their own personalized portals. And so what happens is when you have clients, we love when you send the client either through the portal or you make a nice email introduction. And then what happens is it goes straight to my team, right? So my team reaches out right away and they will walk the client through A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They walk them through everything. But we want to keep you updated on your client's progress every single month. So this is our QR code for our website right here. And
I'm sorry, Micah, I'm sorry. Me and Joe were trying to figure out how to save this on our phone.
yeah, that's okay.
I know that I've done email introductions, but like I just did your QR code, your code, and then I emailed it, texted it to myself, so I have it on my phone, right?
Right.
You said is it always best for me to do the email introduction like I've been doing, or
We love email.
I don't just want to. I like to know that it's coming from me.
Yes, that's super
Instead of
important.
just giving them your website. Okay.
That's super important. And we prefer that. We really prefer. So if you go to the website and you're added as an affiliate, that automatically will build you a portal and you can actually add your clients in the portal as well. And that just goes straight to my team at the corporate office. And then they'll call right away, which is awesome. So
yeah, you guys, your response time's insane.
Thank you. We pride ourselves on that.
Very, very fast. I did want to ask another question as far as someone like me, like I don't have credit issues, but I want to learn how to get my credit scores up, right? So do you do all types of programs from people who really need a lot of help to people who just want to learn and get their scores up? You like do all types of programs? Like if I came to you and said, Micah, I just want to get my scores up to 800. How do I do that? And put me in a program, because not everybody has bad credit, but they have a lot of credit, right? And they just want to get their scores up.
So if somebody has nothing negative on the credit report, that's not a client for our program. We would, because all it comes down to then is maybe there's something that they need to pay down. We wouldn't charge them and bring them in as clients, because if they have nothing negative, there's nothing for us to work on. We do have other programs though. We do have a business program. So if you have a business, we have a program that will ensure that you build your business properly, build your business credit properly. It's one of the coolest things ever. I personally went through it as an organization to make sure that this was something I wanted to bring to the public, and it's insane how helpful it is. So we do have that in place. But yeah, if you have great credit, no negatives, we're not going to enroll you into our program.
So you know, everybody, if anybody comes to you and says, Maria pulled my credit and it went down 50 points, they're not telling you the truth.
Now you
can say, well, there's an algorithm.
Exactly.
So
Different algorithms.
I wanted to ask, and I know you want to go back into your planning, but do you have Spanish speaking consultants?
Of course we do.
Okay.
Of course we do.
This is great.
Of course we do.
We're trying to promote more Spanish speaking business in this office.
Super smart.
And one of the issues is a lot of they struggle with their credit. They want to bring it up. They just don't know how, and they don't know who to go to
and trust
in order to get that done.
So
they will love it. We spend so much time training our team. We spend an hour a day training our team. They are absolutely incredible. You will love the Spanish community loves our Spanish team. Like it's just
that's awesome.
Yeah. You'll be very happy.
We like to make sure that we never like to be negative with our buyers. Maybe you're not ready, but let's make a plan of how to get ready. And some lenders don't do that. They're just like, oh, you don't qualify. I don't like to do that to buyers. I like to say,
that's the worst.
Sorry, unfortunately, right now, but let's make a plan. And if that involves a credit repair, it's nice to have someone like you that we trust, that we also can get updates from, and making sure that they're, doing the program and following the plan. Because a lot of buyers, a lot of people have problems with credit, and some of it's not their fault, like you said, and some of it could be circumstances. I get a lot of divorced couples that, you know, the husband or the wife ran up all their credit cards when they got
Yeah.
separated just to piss them off, you know,
Yeah.
and I feel bad, but I
Yeah.
can't do anything about it. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. My biggest competition has always been the trash can. I always tell that to people. I'm like, it's crazy. Like I'm like, I will walk into some of my lenders' offices and I'm like, what's that on the floor? And there'll be a stack of applications like 2 feet high. And they're like, oh, those are all of the declines. And I'm like, you're just throwing them in the trash. I'm like,
Right.
are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, what are they gonna do? I'm
No
like,
way. I did not do
like,
that. No way.
no, I mean,
It's
like you have
horrible.
to
It's not
provide
even,
resources and solutions, you know, and like
yeah, I
that
mean, it's
people
so
are just not
discouraging.
wired
for
that
people.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like some people just are like, no, I want to focus on A paper and A paper only. And you know, that's just not the world we live in. You know what I mean? You're gonna have slim pickings. You know?
Exactly.
So one of the statistics though I want to make sure I give to everyone, which is really, really important. I want to talk about missed payments because missed payments is my biggest pet peeve on the planet, right? Again, you heard the entire national average dropped because student loans became due and payments were missed. So the statistic I give is meant to rattle you, and it's going to do a very good job. Okay. So if you have a perfect credit score, what's a perfect credit score?
What was
At
it?
850.
850, exactly. You can't
Nice,
get
Janine.
850. It's totally unnecessary, guys, by the way. At 780, you're getting the premium tiers for everything. You don't need anything past the 780, right? Anything past the 780 is just bragging rights. But here's my question for you. If you have a perfect credit score, an 850, and you have one 30-day late on a credit card, how many points do you think your score might drop?
180.
Oh, that was my girl. That was Hirat. She's on my team. She knows.
Oh, she's cheating.
I'm sorry,
You're not allowed
everyone.
to answer. I'm going to say 50.
50. Guys, it really is 180 points. It really is 180. It's a 180 point drop. And
Oh my gosh.
it's horrific. But let me ask you the follow-up question, which really drives it home. How long will it take you to organically recover back to your 850 without our help?
Years.
7 years. It's a full 7 years. Late payments stay on the report for 7 years. So this is my biggest pet peeve. A lot of people come to our program, and I'll sit with loan originators and like we do this all day. And they're like, I don't understand why this person's credit is that bad. They're like, they just have a couple of missed payments. I'm like, that's why it's that bad. It's the largest factor on your credit report. As you can see, this pie chart here, 35% of your credit score is payment history. So it's the number one thing that they're looking at. So a missed payment says to a lender. So the way that they look at it, again, right, they're determining your likelihood of default, right? So if you have a newly missed payment, they don't know if you lost your job. They don't know if you got into an accident. They don't know if you just have the habit of not paying people back on time and like you just don't care about paying lenders back. But either way, when you miss payments, right, lenders look at you as very risky. So to us, it might have just been like a simple whoopsie, but to them, it's like, you know, it could be, you know, something very problematic, and they generally will give you much higher rates if you have missed payments. So as a rule of thumb, just understand like one missed payment can take you tumbling. It takes an entire lifetime to build your credit and 1 second to destroy. It really, unfortunately, does work like that. And to give you an idea, just like credit, right? There is no equivalent to good as there is to bad, right? If you think about, right? So, and I always try to explain this, like if you think about 9/11, right? The amount of damage that was done within 30 minutes, right? There's no equivalent of good, as it like bad news happens like this and it alters lives so fast. There's no equivalent of good news, right? You can't do that much good in that short of time, right? So it's like when it's damaged, expect the time frame to be much longer to try to get it rectified. Like there's no equivalent of good to bad, unfortunately. It takes
a good analogy. It's a very good analogy. Yeah.
Well, I
have a
learned it from
question
Morgan
with the-
Housel, so I can't take credit for it.
Wow, that's really good.
So you said if you're at an 850, it's 180 drop. If you have a lower score, like 700, is it still like a 180 drop, or does it condense?
A little less. Yeah. So the higher you are, the harder you fall. So if you're like
Wow,
700, it'd be
really?
like 100 points, you know?
That should be the opposite.
Wow.
It should be the opposite.
Yeah,
They should
you work
penalize you
hard
less
to
because
get
you work so
there.
hard to get to the 850.
Yeah, I know. It's
Man.
crazy. So I wanted to share this with all of you because this is one of the biggest things that people just don't ever have the opportunity to see. I love breaking down the numbers for people because people just they don't see this stuff. And when clients enroll, they get a big, beautiful PDF, a printout of, you know, what your credit score costs you, person A versus person B. These rates would be a dream right now. Okay, so these are old rates, okay?
Oh my
So-
God, I would love these rates.
Oh my goodness, wouldn't we all? But say back in August of last year, right? Let's just say you had a 620 to a 639 credit score and you were trying to borrow $550,000, okay? So they're saying that the average loan size in America right now is right around this, maybe a hair lower. So the APR at that time would be 5.742%, right? Your monthly payment would be $3,207. Total interest paid is $604,468. Okay, $604,000 just interest, guys. That's not even your monthly mortgage. That's not even your mortgage payment, right? So you've got your principal, which is $550,000. Then you have your interest, which is $604,000. Okay, so you've paid well over $1 million for your home. Now, if you jump to a 760 to an 850 at that time, that would have dropped your rate to a 4.534%, right? Your total, so your monthly payment has now gone to $2,798. So what that just did is now you just got a $400 a month savings. $400 a month just in your mortgage payment. We're not talking PMI. We're not talking car insurance. We're not talking credit cards. We're not talking everything else you own. But that drops your total interest over the life of the loan to $457,241. You've just saved yourself $148,000 over 30 years, right? And so we show people on the flip side what you actually can do with that, right? So if you were to take, right? So when I do my wealth seminars, if you were to take that $500 a month and you were to invest it into the S&P 500 at an average rate of return of 7%, right? Actually, this is crazy. If you would have done it the last 30 years, this number is a lot higher, but at an average rate of return of 7%, instead of you parting ways with $600,000, you would have accumulated $776,564 over 30 years. So instead of spending an additional $600,000 and just giving it to the bank, now you invested that $500 that you would have normally spent in interest, and now you've turned that into some real money. Like that's substantial gains, guys, substantial. And that's actually on the low end. Over the last 30 years, it's actually proven the S&P 500 has been closer to 10% in returns. And actually this number would be over $1 million. If you had been investing $500 a month over the last 30 years, it'd be over $1 million right now. You'd have close to 1,200,000 as of today, which is nuts. So this is why we say, right, credit is the cornerstone to building wealth, because wealth is money that you don't see. It's the money that you don't spend, right? And that's why what we're trying to teach people is that if you want wealth, you have to be cognizant of where your money is going. It's the money that you don't spend that's going to help you become wealthy. So as far as our program works, right? So everything negative, just keep in mind, has the potential to be removed. I don't care what it is. Just remember, it's not about did you do it? It's can they prove it? Is it reported accurately, right? So we'll analyze the report. There are some scenarios where we won't even take you on as a client, because if you're not going to see good success, we don't want you as a client. Like we just don't. And of course, right, we'll tell you the risk. And if you're like, nope, I want to do it anyway, we'll be like, okay, maybe. Well, it just depends on the scenario, right? It depends on the scenario. But not everyone is a good client for us. So, you know, we want to make sure they qualify for our program first. So before we even tell clients pricing, we're like, listen, we don't even know if you qualify for our program. So I'm going to go through our pricing now. It's ridiculously affordable, ridiculously. Our prices go up a tiny bit on Monday. So the way it works, so our startup fees, normally it's $259 to start our program. Okay, so when a client comes to us, the first thing we do is we're like, all right, so here's what we need to do first. Before we even go through pricing, any of that, we need to look at a credit report. We need to see if you qualify for our program. That's step number one, right? So we need to see everything listed, positive, negative, the whole 9 yards. So they're going to pay for the credit report at $24.99. It's a soft pull. It's not mortgage scores, but it gives us a full 10-year history, right? So we'll see all 3 bureaus. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the entire credit report with our clients. And we're going to say, okay, here's what you're doing right. Here's what you're doing wrong. We go over reporting dates, like all of that stuff with them, right, on their credit cards. And if they are a fit and they do qualify for our program, this is the fee structure. So normally $259, because of you, they're going to get a discount, right? So normally it's going to be $259, but because they came from Maria, they're going to get $100 off, right? So it drops them down to a $159 startup fee. And then the monthly fee is $129 a month. There's no contract, and then they must maintain the credit monitoring while they're with us. Because as Maria knows, how can you access someone's credit if you don't have a credit report? How are you supposed to tell them their progress without a credit report? So they have to maintain the credit monitoring so that way we can actually update them every month and update you, the partner, every single month. It's absolutely critical, right? So, and this is something where every single month we're studying the credit reports. Remember when I told you in the beginning, we're always looking for the inaccuracies, and we're able to point out new inaccuracies every single month because the bureaus and the creditors continuously make them. So we talked a little bit about timeframes already, but I want to give you some examples to show you the extreme highs and lows of our program. This client, right, started at a 558, right? Someone like Maria, we were talking, right? Like a loan originator might have taken a look at this and thrown it in the trash. Thankfully, they didn't. And they're like, can you do anything with this guy? This guy went from a 558 to a 713 in 30 days.
Wow.
This was 30 days. He got his home. There are some people that just need a little bit of coaching. He just needed a little bit of coaching and a little bit of repair. And in 30 days, because, right, the bureaus and the creditors didn't have any of the information we were requesting, boom, like the stuff flew off the report. So sometimes you're going to get this freakish luck. And we do have a lot of really good luck with a lot of our cases, but we never set the expectation that it's only going to take 30 days. We are prepared for battle every single time, just so you know.
Well, I will say, Micah, people come to me, you know, telling me they're using companies and nothing's being done. They're paying hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah.
This one guy, I think he told me he spent over $2,000 over a year or so. And he's like, nothing's being done. And this is extremely reasonable fee, even on a personal level. Like if I needed credit services, like this is amazing. And like you said, you can't guarantee it, but I like that you don't have the contracts, because a couple of my clients said they were stuck in a contract. I said, well, if the contract, you know, isn't valid, if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I coach them to tell them to get out of it because they were just taking their money. There's a lot of bad credit repair companies out there, a lot. So this is really amazing. The fees are much less than I thought. That's great.
Thank you. I know people are always like, I'm afraid of what it's going to cost, because we do provide such a quality, just at face value. There's so much quality, and like people will see 700-point jumps in 2 months. I'm across all 3 bureaus. So like 251 bureau, 250 another bureau, like they'll see these astronomical jumps, and most companies for that kind of a jump will charge you $4,000 to $5,000. And we're like, okay, it's a $129 a month. But it gives everyone the opportunity to potentially do our program. And it also too, for you as loan originators, as realtors, guys, if you have a client that says, I can't spend $129 to fix my credit, don't spend time with them. That is not a good mortgage client, right? If they can't invest in their credit, right, then they can't afford to buy a home right now. They need to have like a come to Jesus moment and be like, oh, you know, buying a home costs a couple of dollars, you know, like maybe I should save some money instead, you know? So it helps you not waste your time either, to see who's actually serious. And so so again, here's another one. This one was also 30 days from the end of October to the so this was 36 days, 37 days. So he went from a 525 to a 669. So his mid score, right? Obviously these were Vantage scores, but his mid score, so he started at a 510, went to a 694 in 30 days, right? I mean, this is just, it's uncanny, the results we will have. And then this one, so this shows you like the extreme variables. So this gentleman, he was with us for a year and a half, right? He started at a 580, right? And then now he's at a 799, a 762, and a 763. He's our biggest fan. He walks into anywhere he wants and he gets whatever he wants. Like his loan originator, his all, like, I mean, he tells everyone and anyone he knows, like, you gotta go to them, you gotta go to them. But he put the time in, you know, and like, he was hard. He was a hard one to keep going. I was like, I promise you, keep it at, like, stick it out, stick it out, stick it out. And he's so glad he did, because otherwise he wouldn't have the results that he has now. And he's so glad. Like, he would call like every couple months. He's like, am I done yet? Am I done yet? I'm like, no, you're not done yet. You have a lot of negative, like we have a lot that needs to come off the report. But he stuck it out. He put his time in, and because he put his time in, he saw the results. So, you know, not everybody's going to be a 30-day fix. Not everyone's going to be 6 months. Not everyone's going to be a year. Some people will be a year and a half. Some people will be 2 years. You know, like we've had people come to us with over 1,000 negative items. That's not a 6-month fix. It's just not. Like there's so much effort that goes into that, right? So, and we're doing everything customized for these clients. So as far as, you know, sending clients over to us, so like Maria and I talked about, we love email introductions. Obviously you guys have our website, but the info at micaabigail.com, you can use CS as well. It all works. Info at micaabigail.com is a great place to send an email introduction. What we do ask though of all of our partners is we ask them to please don't send the client our information. Our business line is here at the bottom of the screen, the 516-377-6053. So you of course can have them call us at any time, but we suggest that you not give that to them. We always say, please send us the client's information, because that will ensure they at least get a call, right? Versus walking down the brokerage or to another shop, you know, and hoping to have a different conversation, right? A lot of times they're not going to listen to you and they're going to be like, ah, whatever, maybe she's blowing smoke, I'm going to go somewhere else. Or maybe they give it a year. They may sit on it for a year, right? And like nothing happens. And it's like an entire year will go by. Like we have so many people that the loan originator is like, oh, you know, like I sent you like 5 people and did they call? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's why I do the email introductions,
And we
because
love that.
then you can follow up with them.
Yeah.
I never just give, I've always done the email introduction, because
So
I
smart.
want you to know it's coming from me as well, because then I also get updates, you know.
So smart.
I get
So
updates
smart.
of what's going on, which is great. Well,
Yes.
this has been fantastic. I'm super
Thank
excited.
you.
You guys, if anybody says to you, oh, I can't, my credit is shot, tell them to give me a call, or Joanne, if they're Spanish speaking, and let us talk to them. We don't even have to run their credit. If they tell us, sometimes they even have a copy, they have their own copy of the credit report. Like I run credit, and then I sometimes even send the credit report. Mike, I've done that before. I'm like, here's the credit report. Just so you know, I had to run it, but this is what we're looking at. You know, always try to be positive with your buyers, that if they can't buy now, maybe down the road. It's just great information. And credit is a blueprint of you as a person.
Yes.
And how you live your life. And
Yes.
when you want to apply for cars and mortgages and things that you need in life, you need good credit. And
Amen to that. I love it.
I got fantastic. You guys all learned something? Yes. Casey, did you learn something? Calling Casey out.
Definitely.
And even on a personal level, guys, this is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
I've learned things today, Micah. This is probably the best presentation I've ever seen with a credit company. So we're very excited to partner up with you and to send you some
Likewise.
business. And you guys just, you know, again, reach out to me. Happy to help anybody with credit issues. And if they're Spanish speaking, you can reach out to me and I can connect you with Joanne. Because again, in their native language, they're more comfortable talking to someone to understand their needs. Anything else you want to say, Micah, before we sign off?
It was great to see everyone today. Thank you for your time.
Any questions, anyone, before we get off? All right, I will be sending the recorded link out tomorrow to everyone too, just so if you want to go back to anything. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Micah, fantastic. Really love the interaction. And thank you guys for all participating.
It's great to see everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. You're welcome.
Bye.
You can like not listen to anything.